probably dead. His body will come popping up in the last reel somewhere. Eyes gouged out, fingers cut off, teeth knocked out. See, the police are always off track with this shit. If they watch prom night, they'd save time. There's a formula to it. A very simple formula. Everybody's a suspect.
Here's Johnny. Groovy.
Yo. Welcome to the channel. It's that very special time of year, man. One of my favorite times of year. I'm your host, Kenny. Welcome to the Phantom Frequency Network, and most importantly, welcome to Spooky Season 2022, baby. It's our very first official spooky season here on the channel. We're within almost we're just a little over a year old here on the YouTubes and the podcast network as well. Make sure you check us out over there. And I'm a huge horror fan, and a lot of us here at the team on Phantom Frequency here like some horror, man, or love some horror, and pretty much can't live without it, just like your boy here. And we're gonna be taking you guys through all tons of horror content all month long, y'all. That's right, all month long, from now, the end of September, into October 31st, maybe even November 1st, man. We don't give a shit. We're going to be doing spooky season all the way from now till then, so make sure, if you're a big horror fan, a big Halloween fan, if you love that time of year, man, make sure you tune in. You click the subscribe button right there down below the video. Make sure you get on that. Make sure you do that bell button, like, all that good stuff. It helps the show immensely, but with no further ado, let's get into the first official review and the first official piece of content for spooky season, baby. Let's get it, man. From Dusk Till Dawn, as you can see here from the thumbnail and the shirt, baby. From Dusk Till Dawn, 1996. A big old collaboration between two of the illest filmmakers of all time. Two of my personal favorites. I have a lot of their work right there on the shelf. Y'all know the deal. It's Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, man. Two of my favorite filmmakers of all time, and they're two really great friends as well. Have worked on various projects throughout the years, whether that's Grindhouse with Planet Terror and I can't believe I'm almost forgetting it, Death Proof, which was Death Proof was Tarantino's half of that, and the other part of the double feature was Planet Terror, directed by Robert Rodriguez. They also collaborated together on with Frank Miller as well on Sin City, and I think they worked on 4 Rooms together, possibly. I could be wrong there. And I don't think they collaborated after that, but y'all let me know down below if they have. But yeah, these guys have been working together for years, literally as long as I've been alive, if not longer, because I was doing some research for the film and all that before I went to do the recording here, and it actually turns out that Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez go way back into even the early 90s after Tarantino did Reservoir Dogs, and he was in the middle of writing Pulp Fiction.
You've been there before. You go there a lot to write, huh?
Yeah, well, I wrote Pulp Fiction there. I was there for like 3 months.
Rodriguez was working on Desperado, and he had just did El Mariachi, I believe, or something like that, around that time. And they were both coming up with two of their most career-defining films, if not their most career-defining films, in 95's Desperado and 1994's Pulp Fiction. You know what I'm saying? And that's crazy in and of itself, man, when they were like somewhere around my age or maybe a bit younger or maybe a bit older, something like that. It's crazy how they were both coming up like literally at the same time and literally took off like within a year of each other, which is pretty crazy, man. And then they ended up working on this From Dusk Till Dawn together in 95, of course, which ended up releasing in 96. But they were working on this together in 95 and did it in the summer, I believe, because they figured they could throw it together within a few months' time and get it going. And the rest was history, man, and everything came together from there. Tarantino was already working on the script beforehand and already had himself cast in the Richie Gecko role that he does play in this movie. And the two Gecko brothers are kind of your main, I don't know if protagonist is the right word because they do so much villainous stuff and aren't necessarily the greatest dudes out there. But you got Richie Gecko, played by Tarantino, of course, and then you have I am blanking. You got George Clooney's character. I am totally blanking right now. What is his name, man? What is wrong with me, man? What is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Seth, thank you. Seth Gecko is who I'm talking about here. And you got those two guys leading the film, man. And back in that time, Clooney wasn't necessarily anywhere near the A-list status that he is today. He was definitely a heartthrob, always has been, as y'all around my age or older know, depending on what age you are watching this thing. But he was just the ER hunk, you know what I'm saying? So he was on the come up as well. And this was just 2 years before the big disaster that was Batman and Robin, and before he really took off, though, and really became that A-list actor, director, filmmaker, what have you, and really took off and went to that next level. And he was up in this thing, man. And I got to say, this is my all-time favorite George Clooney role to this day.
We're gonna feel a hell of a lot fucking worse. Everybody be cool. You be cool.
Now, have I seen the majority of the man's work? No. Have I seen some of his work, though? Yes. So I would say out of the 4, 5, 6 films I've seen him in, and a little bit of the ER clips I've seen, I will say, and the episode of Friends that he was featured on, this is definitely his best performance in my mind that I've seen outside of maybe Up in the Air. But for me, this is his most kick-ass performance, badass performance, best performance in my mind. And I really wish George Clooney would have did more horror, more action movie roles. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I thought he was so kick-ass as Seth Gecko here, man. He's such a bad dude in a certain sense, but he doesn't necessarily cross that line that Tarantino's Richie does. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't necessarily have the same issues. Because Richie Gecko, played by Tarantino, man, he actually has some like schizophrenia type issues and stuff like that. And that actually comes from Tarantino doing some research on the character and actually had that in mind for the character of just being a complete psychopath and him having schizophrenia and stuff like that. And that's why they added in those certain elements and those certain touches of Richie Gecko having those visions and kind of hearing people say things or thinking people are saying things that they're not actually saying.
Wrote this.
Yeah, uh-huh.
You know what I liked about it? You play this psycho, and this is the first time I've seen it in film. Perhaps it had been done before, but it's the first time I'd seen it. And this is what I liked about it, was usually when you watch the psycho, you have the people saying things, there's a scene where he meets this woman, and she turns and says, you see him say this to you.
Yeah.
She never really says it.
Right,
But in
exactly.
your mind, she said it.
Exactly.
And we're seeing what a psycho sees as opposed to seeing the psycho. If that doesn't make any sense.
No, yeah, I know what you mean. But it's like,
well, you're a psycho.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's so funny because I did a little research on schizophrenics, and that is really a big problem that they have.
You know what I'm saying? So I love the way that he actually played into that psychology part of the role. And it's actually a really, really dope role. And I think still is Tarantino's best role as an actor when it comes to all his different roles throughout movies. Because I don't think he's as bad as some people say he is. But he's definitely not like some excellent actor that's like really standing out. But I thought this role he really sunk his teeth into. And I thought he really nailed it for the most part. Especially as someone that's primarily a director and writer first and foremost. I think he did a very great job here as Richie Gecko and really portrayed that crazy, creepy side of the character while still being a little charming at times and still having that that little wink and grin, you know what I'm saying, that Tarantino has with his characters and in his films and stuff like that. So I definitely enjoyed him a lot in this thing. And for those that don't already know the premise from this thing, it's a crime thriller, man, of Richie Gecko breaking Seth Gecko out of prison, and they're going on this whole killing spree, if you will, just trying to get the hell out of Dodge and get to El Rey in Mexico, you know what I'm saying, after committing a bank robbery and getting some ferias. They're going to split the money and get that 30%, I believe, and they're going to split that shit down, get over the border into Mexico and get the hell out of Dodge. But every single law enforcement person in the South from here down to frickin' anywhere is looking for their ass, and they end up crossing paths with some very, very innocent characters, man. And after they end up getting to their, their shit roach motel after they blow up the liquor store in the beginning after shooting that poor dude for absolutely no reason, when you really see a lot of the craziness of Richie Gecko and you get introduced to the Gecko brothers to begin with, when the sheriff is in there talking to the dude, talking to the clerk. The sheriff goes in the bathroom. Richie comes up like, hey, man. Seth comes up with Richie and them, and they got some hostages, some female customers in the store, and they're like, hey, man, don't be fucking around. Richie be seeing shit lying on the dude, and the dude's like, man, I didn't say that shit, dude. This guy's gonna get me killed, man. And he eventually does end up getting him killed because frickin' Richie shoots him in the face, and then they end up lighting the place on fire and blowing it up, and frickin' Seth's like, what do you not get about keeping a fucking low profile? You just broke me out of prison and we'd be on the run on a fucking killing spree, man. We got 5 stars on fucking GTA San Andreas right now. God damn, bro, calm down. We don't got cheat codes right now. Let's get over the border, bro. Jesus. And then they end up getting to their little shit roach motel, man, and that's when we get introduced to our innocent, actual good characters of the film, and you could say are the true protagonists. You know what I'm saying? You get the dad that was formerly a priest having a crisis of faith, man. You get the preacher, Jacob, played by the great Hollywood legend himself, man, Harvey Keitel, who's usually on the other side of the crime thing, man, usually playing the mobsters and the criminals and whatnot in tons of mob movies over the years, whether it's Reservoir Dogs with Tarantino, or it's Copland, or it's fucking Mean Streets way back in the mid-'70s, anywhere in between. Harvey Keitel's been all over the place, man. You know, Winston the Wolf, man, you gotta love it. Don't you be asking him to say please, all right? Watch your mouth, okay? So please, with fucking sugar on top, clean the fucking car, okay? So let's make sure you don't disrespect the name of the wolf, man. But anyways, getting back on track here. And then you got his 2 kids with him. One I would assume is, I guess, adopted. And then you got his blood daughter, I'm guessing, played by Juliette Lewis. And let me get the kid's name, man. I want to get the kid's name. You know what I mean? I want to get the kid's name. You know what I'm saying? But let me see. What's his name? 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 It's so crazy how you see freaking Danny Trejo up there, and he's not even like an important character, but he's so famous at this point. Scott Fuller plays Ernest Liu. Yeah. So, yep, he plays the 2 kids, you know what I'm saying? Just innocent kids, church kids, man. They're on a vacation going somewhere. Harvey Keitel's Jacob, man. He's tired. He needs an honest bed, man. Wants some sleep. Wants to rest. He's getting tired from driving on the road. Doesn't want the kids to drive the RV, obviously. You know what I'm saying? He's a safe conservative guy, so you know he's not going to let that go down. But then they unfortunately run into the Gecko brothers, man. They take them hostage, take their RV to use as cover to get over the border, so that way when Border Patrol talks to them, they don't really suspect anything, and they narrowly get over the border, man. And you think everything's just going in that typical Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez fashion. We're going to get some action. We're going to get some sex. We're going to get some sexy ladies. And with Tarantino, you're probably going to get some female feet, close-ups, shots, man. You know the deal. and you do get it later on. We're going to get into it, y'all. Let me tell ya. We're going to get into it, man. So let me tell you, we're going to get into that in a minute. I want to wait to get to that side of the cast when we get there, man. But they get over the border, and they're officially Mexicans. No, I'm just playing. But they're over the border, man, and they make it. And, yeah. So then the destination is the Titty Twister. They got to go meet up with Carlos so they can go rendezvous with him there, go to El Rey, get their 30% split, and go kick back on the beach, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole plan. And he directs Jacob over to the Titty Twister, and that's when the craziness starts to ensue. They get to this biker trucker only bar, man, and you got Cheech, the great Cheech Marin, up in here, man. The legend himself, Cheech, baby, up in this thing playing 2 roles actually, because he played one of the Border Patrol guys earlier, and then now he's playing another character here at the bar, man. He's selling a lot of pussy. That's all I'm gonna say, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
Come on, you want pussy? Come on in, pussy lovers. If we don't got it, you don't want it. Come on in, pussy lovers.
But it is one of the most hilarious pieces of dialogue. I guess you could call it a monologue. I guess. It's hilarious, man. I don't think I've ever heard the word pussy used more times than I ever heard in that scene, man. If you're playing a drinking game, every time they say the word pussy, you're going to be in the hospital just after this one scene, I tell you. And I think they say it a couple times after that, or before that and after that. So that's what's crazy about it. But it's hilarious, man. And then he doesn't want to let the Gecko brothers and the gang in. So then Seth and Richie obviously end up beating him up. And then they end up making their way inside. And then they're going to get into another fight with someone else after Danny Trejo's Razor Charlie refuses to give him any whiskey after they try to get some drinks, man. So they just fucking with him left and right, man, trying to piss off the Gecko brothers left and right. Seth is pissed and Jacob's like, man, you got to calm your ass down, bro. You won. Everyone's looking for your ass. Every cop in the goddamn fucking U.S. is looking for you. And they ain't found your ass. You ought to be thankful, all right? You ought to be thankful. So he's like, damn, bro, you're kind of right. You're kind of right. So then he calms down. They end up enjoying the show, enjoying all the nude scenery around him, man. And let me tell you, man, I don't know if this will get made today, bro. I don't know. But it's crazy, man. And if you like topless bars, this is your spot, man. I don't know if you want to go, though. I don't know if you want to go. Maybe go before it gets dark. You know what I'm saying? Because from dusk till dawn, they're doing some shit, right? And that's when you get introduced to some of the ruffians around the block, too, man. Besides Danny Trejo himself, the legend. You got the horror legend himself. I actually met the man at Monsterpalooza. He does some of the best practical effects ever, has made some of the best kills on camera ever, and even directed a good remake within his own right. I'm talking about the great legend himself, Tom Savini, man. I'm talking about Tom Savini, the legend himself, who has made some of the illest and gnarliest looking kills on screen of all time. One of the greatest SFX makeup artists to ever grace the silver screens, man. Love his work. Love him up in here as Sex Machine, being one of the characters, man, fighting these vampires and shit. Because yeah, man, there's fucking vampires in here, but they don't know it yet. They don't know it yet. And as things continue, man, you get a couple other legends up in here, man. You get a couple other legends up in here. You get Fred Williamson popping up in here as some crazy war vet turned biker guy. You know what I'm saying? He's up in this thing. And yeah, so then you get the great show from Santa. Oh man, I was gonna butcher that, man. You know what? I'm just gonna have to throw the Danny Trejo scene up in here.
Kneel and worship at the feet of Santanico Pandemonium.
Santico Pandemonium. That's the best I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna let him do the introduction, okay? But yeah, man, I'm talking about the great actress herself, one of the greatest on-screen actresses, I will say, and one of my personal favorites, man. Salma Hayek, man, one of her first 3 to 4 like big on-screen roles right here, man, because she actually got her start in Mi Vida Loca, you know what I'm saying? One of her first big on-screen parts here in the States, because she was a Mexican actress doing things over there and actually had a fair bit of success as well in the early 90s and stuff like that. So when she came over to the States and got that part, she ended up getting a role over there in Robert Rodriguez' big debut, possibly sophomore film, I meant to say, and definitely wasn't a sophomore slump. 95's aforementioned Desperado, man. She got the main supporting role, leading lady role up in there when Antonio Banderas, man, he actually saw her in an interview she did in Mexico where they were making fun of her and clowning her for being an extra in Mi Vida Loca, and then he ended up saying, yep, that's the girl, and after the studio threw her through the ringer and made her do a bunch of auditions and screen tests and all this other nonsense, they got her the part. She was in Desperado, and the rest was history, man. And she went on to have this great career that we know she's had all the way up into the present, where she did a film with Tiffany Haddish not too long ago, about a year or so ago, and did Eternals late last year in the MCU, man, as Ajax. And while I thought they wasted her in that film, she definitely is not wasted in this film. It makes a very big impact in a completely improvised, mind you, striptease, I guess you could say, scene with a freaking snake.
And then not right before, but there was some time, but, weeks before we started, he said, oh, by the way, you're dancing with a snake. And I'm like, that's my greatest fear in life. And he said, well, let me do it. Let me know if you're not capable of overcoming your fear for a role, because we can always give it to Madonna, which, I'm sure it's not true, because if they could have had one Madonna, why me? But I was so afraid to lose the part. I thought I was going to be able to convince him, just let's do it like in the script without the snake. But so I had to learn how to go on trance so that I could overcome my biggest fear. So I was on trance when I was doing that dance.
It's terrifying. It's sexy. It is literally one of the sexiest scenes of all time. It is one of the best, just on-screen dance scenes ever. And the fact that it's choreographed is just like, God damn, man, Salma Hayek is just a performer. You know what I'm saying? It was just meant to be on screen doing her thing and so much more. And then even the horror elements that she ends up playing into when it's all revealed after they end up stabbing Richie's hand and he's bleeding all over the place after the sexiest scene all the time and all that. Then you end up getting into some of the scariest, freakiest shit of all time, because all the sexy ladies up in there, all the dancers and shit, are turning into motherfucking vampires and shit. She turns into a vampire and morphs and shit and ends up biting Richie and killing his ass, turning him into a vampire, and craziness ensues because they end up shooting the hell out of Danny Trejo and Cheech and Chong, my lord, Cheech's character, after he comes back in saying, hey, these pieces of shit beat me up, man. Throw their asses out. They end up shooting the hell out of him. They end up turning into vampires too. They start eating up everybody, man. The band turns into fucking vampires. Shit just hits the fan, man. Craziness ensues everywhere. And I gotta say, I love how the film just totally turns away from a fucking Tarantino action, goddamn, like action crime thriller, and then it totally morphs into a fucking horror film, man. And shit is just going crazy, bro. Almost everybody in there gets wiped the fuck out, except for our main hero, Sex Machine. The other guy played by Fred Williamson, and then, the kids, Jacob, and the last Gecko brother to survive up in there, Seth, man. He's upset that he has to kill his brother and shit and stake him in the heart and all that crazy shit. And everything goes, and shit just hits the fan, man. They kill Salma Hayek, and she ends up melting. And they got to band together, man. The priest has got to get his faith back together. They got to put things together to make crosses, get some holy water, get some water guns and shit, man. They got to kill these vampires, man. And like Seth even says, let's go kill some fucking vampires, man. Are you going to be a mean motherfucking servant of God, man? Come on, man. We need you up in here, Jacob. We need the faith. We need you to believe. I don't believe in fucking vampires, but we just seen some. So you got to believe, brother, because if there's a hell, there's sure as hell got to be a heaven, man. So you need to bucker up, get in there, and bless these things so I can kill these vampires, okay? Bless these things so I can turn them into a cross. Let's go. Bless the water. Let's do this thing. So they band together. They kill off these vampires, but Jacob, unfortunately, doesn't make it. Lou doesn't make it either. And yeah, so essentially, no one else makes it. Freaking Sex Machine, my boy Tom Savini gets killed off. Fred Williamson gets killed off, man. Everybody dies except our girl Juliette Lewis here and freaking Seth over here, George Clooney, man. They're the only ones left to survive, and they barely make it out of there. They blow up all the vampires by blowing a bunch of holes in the fucking place, in the bar and shit, man. Burning them all down, yo. And killing all these vampires, getting up out of there because so many of them are around there and surrounded the place that they end up blowing up the whole goddamn building and shit because there's so many vampires exploding. It's like freaking, it's like having like gasoline. It's like taking it's like taking a kerosene to a gasoline station and lighting that shit up. You know what I mean? So shit's literally blowing up and hitting the fan, man. And then Carlos and them show up at dawn and shit. When it's way too fucking late and everyone's been killed off, and he's like, why the fuck? Seth is pissed, man. He's like, why the fuck would you tell us to come here? He's like, because it's open till dawn, man. That's when you wanted to meet, right? And he's like, what the fuck, man? I just had to kill my brother, and there's a bunch of fucking vampires in there that ate up every fucking body. And now you want to talk to me about, and you want to give me a raise and give me my brother's half? That's the least you could fucking do. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, God damn. But he ends up getting the money and going off with him. And Juliette Lewis, man, she's just lost her marbles and like, shit, I'll go off with you. Fuck it. I ain't got nothing else left after you took us hostage and my whole family got killed. He's like, hold on, man. Hold on. You ain't going with me. Go your own way. You don't need to be with a piece of shit like me. All right? Go do your thing. I'm gonna do mine. And that's it, man. That's it for the From Dusk Till Dawn right there, man. It's such a fun film. I love how it's just a mishmash of horror and action and crime. It's great, man. It's the perfect blend of all these genres, man. It's awesome. It's one of my all-time favorite just genre films in general, man. And I know it's not just a straight-up horror film. I'm aware, y'all. But, we want to mix it up a little bit and do a couple different types of horror films as well. We're going to do some straight-up true blue slashers and horror movies. Don't worry about it, man. We're going to get into it. But this one just wanted to throw in something a little more unique, a little more fresh in there. And just one of my personal favorites, man. And I got to say, shout-outs to frickin' Creeperama for making these dope-ass shirts, man. I got to show this off, man. I'm not even sponsored by these guys, but I got to show this off, man. You got to pre-order their stuff. I saw this online, and it totally inspired me to do this whole review and shit anyway. I was like, I'm going to get that shirt, and then I got the shirt, and then I was like, damn, the shirt is sick, man. And then it made me want to watch the movie, and I was like, damn, spooky season's coming. I'm going to do a goddamn review for this thing because I love this damn movie. So yeah, that's how it all came to be, man. So it's all thanks to Creeperama for inspiring the whole From Dusk Till Dawn thing. But I got to show off this shirt real quick, man. It's dope stuff. You know what I'm saying? Awesome, man. Look at that, man. You got Cheech up in there. You know what I'm saying? You got Cheech and Danny Trejo, man. You got the titty twister down there on the bottom, man. You got Salma right there. You got Santico, Pandemonium, I think is how you say it. I think I might have got it right. Booyah. Hell yeah. But that's the thing, man. Ooh, let me scoot up here. But yeah, man. So I absolutely love this movie, man. 10 out of 10 in my opinion. I absolutely love it. One of my personal favorites. But what says you? Have you seen From Dusk Till Dawn? Do you love the film? Do you not love the film? What's your favorite parts in the film, man? Do you agree with me that the Santico scene is the sexiest striptease scene of all time? You know what I'm saying? And no disrespect to Jamie Lee over there in True Lies, man. That's some good stuff. There's some great scenes out there, you know. And I know the ladies love that Magic Mike scenes. I'm sure that's some great stuff for them too, man. Or if for the dudes out there too that are into that, you know what I'm saying? Hey, you know what I'm saying? It's free country, man. We do our thing. So most definitely, man, I want to hear from you down in the comments. What do you think about From Dusk Till Dawn? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you fall somewhere in between? Do you think that this is the most kick-ass vampire movie of all time? I think it's definitely in my top 3 for sure. It's one of the best vampire films of all time, in my personal opinion. And is this one of your favorite Tarantino films, Robert Rodriguez films? Are you a fan of those filmmakers at all? I want to hear from you all down in the comments. Do you have any recommendations for spooky season? Because if I could fit it into the schedule, I'll sure as hell do it. I love me some horror, man. So let me know if you got any horror recommendations down in the comments below on our social media. All that stuff is down in the description. And we got hella more reviews coming, a lot more spooky season content between, you know, current releases and old school films and, you know, modern classics, all the shit in between, man. Got some new type of content I'm going to be doing. And don't you worry, y'all. We're going to be hitting Andor, She-Hulk, House of the Dragon. We're going to be covering those as well. So don't you miss our weekly recaps of those TV shows. And spooky season is going to continue, so make sure you stay tuned, don't sleep, trick or treat, smell these feet, and I'll see y'all soon, y'all. Peace!